Did you know that Arizona is home to some of the most breathtaking landscapes and hidden gems in the United States? So today we're going to talk about day trips that we like to do in Arizona. So we're going to explore a variety of must-see things to do and lesser-known hidden gems, including stunning national parks, charming towns, and scenic drives. And we'll also talk about some other things that we like to do, such as antiquing, visiting casinos, kayaking, and fishing.
I'm Joe.
And I'm Tracy, and this is our channel, Retirement in Color, where we normally talk about early retirement, selling our home in Arizona, and building our retirement home on a lake in Alabama. But today, we want to highlight the things that we like to do in Arizona, things that we're going to miss when we move.
In future videos, we're going to talk about things that take a little longer than a day trips, weekends, a week. We'll talk about that in our next video. And then we're going to do a similar video about Alabama, things that we're looking forward to doing there that is much like this video. And at the end of this video, we're going to give you an update on the progress of the build of the house, because there's actually been real progress. But many travelers struggle to find the best places to visit in Arizona that offer both relaxation and adventure. I'm not an expert in many things, but being an Arizona native, growing up here, doing the Boy Scouting thing and camping and enjoying Arizona most of my life, I'm almost an expert. And I'm going to share some of that knowledge with you today. And Tracy's lived here for over 20 years, so she's got some practical experience to share too. So let's briefly talk about some of the national parks.
Right, and we wanted to talk about the national parks because if you do like to visit those and do some road tripping, you want to make sure that you purchase the America the Beautiful Pass. And if you're in the military or if you're a veteran, that pass is actually free, but it'll get you into those parks, which saves you money in the long run.
Arizona is home to some of the most beautiful and stunning national parks in the country. And we're going to talk about those, most of those in the next video, because they're not one-day parks. You can't do the Grand Canyon or the Petrified Forest or the Painted Desert. Those may take a longer than a day to get to just because they're kind of remote. So some of the other national parks that you can include with this pass include some of those missions in southern Arizona. We're going to spend some detail on those because they need to be highlighted. And then one of our favorite places is Tonto National Forest.
Yeah, because that includes the lakes that we like to go to, because we are huge kayakers, so we do spend a lot of time on those lakes. And they go from Roosevelt Lake to, and I hope I get the right order, Apache Lake, Canyon Lake, which is our favorite lake because there's some great places for kayaking there with the where the boaters can't get to. So we really enjoy that lake. And Tortilla Flats, which is I think it's a privately owned town, but there's a little town there, western town, with a great restaurant. So we do like to spend some time there.
There's also a place where you paddle boat.
The Dolly Steamboat. Yes, that's a lot of fun.
Dinner cruise where you can see, and you will see things. They take you to non-populated parts of the lake where you can see mountain goats and maybe even a mountain lion and eagles and all sorts of wildlife on the side of this lake. It is close to the valley, but still has that rural.
And then the last lake is Saguaro, and then those all feed into the Salt River. And you can kayak and tube and paddleboard on the Salt River also, and chances are you're going to see some wild horses when you're there as well. So let's change gears and explore some charming towns. So we live in Phoenix, so our road trips are based out of Phoenix, but later on we're going to get into other big cities that you can leave from, like Tucson or Flagstaff, and we'll address the day trips from there.
We're going to do kind of a geographical run using, right now, Phoenix as our base. So we're going to talk about Glendale. It's a cute little town, and they really decorate cute for the holidays. So Valentine's Day, we'll get a horse-drawn carriage and take you to a nice dinner at maybe Haas Murphy, which is a great German deli that has authentic food. And they, not only is the food authentic, but the costumes that the people wear as the staff there are traditional.
and they had the best pork chop that we have ever had in our lives. And they also have a great big sampler platter that totally feeds 2 to 3 people.
Yeah. And then after you leave House Murphy for dinner, maybe your carriage will take you to Soretta's Chocolate Factory. And you can see how chocolate's made and get candy samples. And of course, there's a little store there, so you can buy your favorite things. They do a nice job of decorating this town. There's other towns that do it well also. And then the town center is circled by lots of cute antique stores. Mm-hmm. And they make it a great Christmas experience also. So Glendale's definitely a to-visit place. Another town similar to that is Cave Creek, which is north of Phoenix, just a teeny bit, nestled in the mountains there by one of my favorite resorts, the Boulders. And in that town, you're going to get great food. Some of our favorite Mexican restaurants are in this area. There's also some nice biker bars, a lot of nightlife.
Yeah, and one of mine and my daughter's favorite places, the English Rose Tea Room, is there. It's a tea room that's just decorated so cute and quaint. Just think pink and roses and girly. And the owner is British, so she's just really nice, but definitely make reservations. You're going to need them. But if you're in Cave Creek, you're also going to want to go there. So the next charming town on our list is Wickenburg, which is typically a stop on our way to Las Vegas. But we do like to stop there because they have some great antique stores. It's got that Western town feeling. We usually also stop at a nice restaurant when we're in there. And actually, it's growing. That town is growing pretty big too, the 55 plus community.
Really active. So if you're looking at moving to Arizona and you're retired, not a place to ignore because it doesn't have that claustrophobic feeling that you get maybe in places like Sun City or Sun Lakes, but it's got a very active adult population there. And then if we keep going from Wickenburg, we're usually headed up north when we go this route. So we're going to go through Kingman. Kingman's an old mining town. It's right on the 40, so there's a lot of trucker activity. But one of my favorite hidden gems in Kingman is there's a wildcat preserve. So I don't know if you guys were caught up in that whole craze of, what was that called?
Tiger King.
The Tiger King. But a lot of the tigers that were confiscated ended up at this animal preserve. And there's lots of other big cats, maybe the ones from Siegfried and Roy and some other famous big cats and not so famous have found their way there, and you can visit and make a nice donation to help keep this refuge alive. And then, like I say, we go from there up north, usually to Laughlin or Vegas. But on the route, as you first leave Arizona, there's a road that takes you to an offshoot of the Grand Canyon, where they've got this bridge. That's the glass bottom bridge. Many people, I don't think Tracy will go on it because she's a little bit afraid of heights. But you get a spectacular view of the Grand Canyon because you're walking above it on what appears to be a sheet of glass. It's much thicker safety glass, plexiglass, and it's safe, but definitely worth a visit while you're up in that part of the country. Another nice place to visit while you're in Arizona, leaving out of the valley, you're going to head up north on the 17, like you're headed to Flagstaff, but before you get to Flagstaff, we're going to turn off at Camp Verde, one of Tracy's favorite casinos. She's made a little money there. There's some great restaurants in this little town. We found this Astoria International Bistro that we really enjoy. And this is one of my favorite hidden gems for camping. So if you Google the Childs Hot Springs, you're going to find a dirt road that's just outside of Camp Verde. You're going to, on the way up to the Mogollon Rim, you're going to take this 14-mile dirt road down towards the hot springs. And you can camp here right on the river. And it is so serene and so peaceful. The fishing's great. There's also some hot springs near there. That is not, how do I say, family friendly, but it's...
Clothing optional?
You could say that.
Okay.
I mean, they want you not to do that, but people do it anyway. So, but they have medicinal values for those hot springs. Originally, way, way back in the old times of the Old West, there was a hotel where those were actually inside the hotel, but now it's just a concrete structure that really doesn't shield anything, but definitely worth a visit. There's also maybe a quarter mile the other direction up the river from there, maybe it's a half mile, there's the cold springs, which is basically a pipe that comes out of the mountain where the water is ice cold. Well, when it's in the high 90s there and you feel that cold water coming down out of it, it's amazing. But yeah, great fishing, great camping there. Not one that a lot of people use. So visit there if you're looking for a camping spot. Then we're going to head up the road towards the Mogollon Rim. And as we drive this road, you're going to see some of those farms that are just so serene and beautiful. You'll see a little meadow and then this cute little house and horses and then little bed and breakfast along this way. Definitely worth one of my favorite scenic routes in Arizona.
Yeah, and that's when you're going to get into the little towns of Pine and Strawberry. And they're so cute and so quaint. And if you're into antiquing, definitely you need to stop there. One of my favorite antique stores is there it's called Timeless Antiques and Treasures. So definitely stop in there. They have another little area you can visit is a little schoolhouse. It takes you back into time. You can explore around there. And there's also the Blue Ridge Reservoir, which is in that general area, which is beautiful if you're into kayaking. It's just be prepared that you're going to have to, I think we had to carry our kayak down a little bit of a hill to get in there, if I remember right.
They have redone the parking lot since the last time we were there, so it should be easier access. There's probably still not enough parking because, maybe it's a good thing that there's not so much parking because this is one of the places where you can go out on the water and just feel like you're alone.
Yeah.
It's not crazy busy like the Salt River is, where you could walk across the river kayak to kayak or inner tube to inner tube, but it's just a little piece of heaven.
Right.
And then keep going down a little further, you're going to come to Payson, which is kind of the center of activity on the Mogollon Rim, the biggest little town up there. So there's a Walmart and all the essentials, and also another casino.
Mazatl Casino.
Yeah, I'm mad as hell about Mazatl taking all my money.
No.
But yeah.
But sometimes they have interesting things going on at the casino. Like I know I've seen the Budweiser Clydesdale horses up there before. And so.
Always a cheap meal there. That's also nice. It's one of the few casinos that still has good cheap meals in Arizona. There's several ways to get up to the rim. You can also go east through down the 60 and take a nice winding road to get right back to town, or you go back down through Fountain Hills to get back into town, or you can go up the rim and across into the White Mountains. And in the White Mountains, there's some other cute little towns. I know a lot of people who have cabins up in this area. Pine Top, Show Low. One of our favorite, there's a fish hatchery up there. You need it. Guaranteed to catch, because there's just so many fish in there, you can almost reach in and grab them. But it's a great place to take a kid for their first fishing experience because they're going to get something. And you pay by the pound for what you take, so that's good. And that's just cute. And there's little picnic areas around there. Great places for some photo ops. If I were going to do family pictures, this might be a place that I'd do some family pictures because they've done the garden so well manicured and they don't care how long you lounge there. So it's cute. And then there's other towns like Eager and Alpine. There's a ski lodge, cross-country skiing up there. So we have a couple places you can ski in Arizona. This is one of the lifts. The other one is the big one on, my mind just went it's north of Flagstaff. But great to visit in the winter for skiing. In the summer, you can take that ski lift up to the top and have a nice little picnic. And that's kind of nice. You could do that at the other one also. And then while you're up in the White Mountains, you can go all the way down to, Alpine. And then Alpine's another one of those cute towns. There's lots of those, lots of bed and breakfast and hotels. But one of the best things about Alpine is that I don't get to experience is there's a road that goes from Alpine down to Morenci. So you're going off the mountain down into the low desert, but it is called Route 66 or the Devil's Highway. So you're thinking...
So they call it Route 666?
Route 666, yes. Or the Devil's Highway. It's two lanes, one lane going each direction, but it's very narrow and it goes across the crest of a mountain. So you are going to see here some of the most pristine wilderness in Arizona. If you don't see wildlife, I've never been anywhere near there and not seen wildlife. Everything from eagles to hawks to mountain lions to wild sheep to it's just beautiful.
But I have to say, if you're like me and you do not like windy highways with lots of switchbacks, then this might not be the drive for you, because there is a reason why they call it the Devil's Highway. And we started to do it and I chickened out, but we started in Morenci, which Morenci is a mining town. And it was very, very windy. So the car was kind of moving around a little bit. But also what made it a little bit overwhelming was the mining trucks were huge. It looked like something out of Star Wars. Like the tires were as big as we are. And then you would go under a bridge, I want to say, and these trucks would be going over you. So I don't know. It was just very, very overwhelming.
But if you do have two cars, and some of you want to do the winding road and some of you don't, there's a route that the other people can take that goes up through New Mexico and around back up to Alpine. So you could separate into two groups and really enjoy this for those who want to see it.
And that was a beautiful drive too.
And that, either way. But the Devil's Highway is a must-see hidden gem if you love nature and aren't afraid of heights. Mm-hmm. Then up in that area, well, there's Winslow, Arizona. That's everybody knows it. Standing on the corner, Winslow, Arizona, and the statue there. But yeah, that covers the White Mountains.
And also in Winslow, they have the Painted Desert area that's around there. And they also have the crater that you can go visit by, isn't that by Winslow?
No, that's up by Flagstaff. Sunset Crater.
Okay, Sunset Crater by Flagstaff.
Yeah.
And then about 2.5 hours north of Phoenix is the Flagstaff Williams area. And Williams is actually the gateway to the Grand Canyon. They have the Grand Canyon Railway that you can take from Williams to the Grand Canyon. And what's nice is Christmas time, they'll turn that into Polar Express.
Yeah. And when it's not the Polar Express, be careful riding this railroad because you might just get robbed.
Yes.
It's a Western themed town.
I remember taking Sydney when she was really little. Those robbers scared her. So it might be a little intense for little toddlers, but otherwise it's really fun. It's really scenic and a nice way to go leisurely to go see the Grand Canyon.
Other things to do while you're up in the Flagstaff area include Bearizona, which is kind of a drive-through nature park where bears might come up and try and take your snacks right out of your car. Walnut Canyon, not a hard hike, but definitely get to see as you descend, much like the Grand Canyon, you can see the climate change as you walk down this canyon, and it's fairly easy to get to and not a terrible hike like the Grand Canyon. Not that the Grand Canyon is the worst in the world. I think I've done it 17 times, but 17 times and 9 different trails. So yeah, the Grand Canyon's fun, but it's not something I would do at my age or in my current physical condition. Age is not the factor. It's, yeah. So then.
But then Flagstaff.
Oh yeah.
Flagstaff is a cute town. It's a college town, so lots of shops, lots of restaurants, lots of hippies. So it is, you can do it in a day from Phoenix. It'd also be fun, for a weekend trip also.
Yeah. Whole wheat pizza. Oh, good stuff. There's so much good stuff up there. And then if you're going from Flagstaff, coming back towards the valley, I suggest taking 89A, which is a scenic route, which takes you into Sedona, one of the most beautiful highways in Arizona. And as you get down into these red rocks, one of the last things you'll see is Slide Rock, which is it's a tourist destination. But you think you go down these super slides at the paid for parks. Well, this is a super slide that's made by a river, and you just slide down the road with your butt, and it's really cute. And it's overcrowded on the weekends, so if you get a chance in the area, try and do it on a weekday, because finding parking on a weekend is near impossible. And it's kind of like it's a small season when you can do this, because sometimes it's way too hot and sometimes it's way too cold. But the beginning of summer, some people can do it all summer. I can't. But definitely you want to see. And then Sedona. I know you've seen pictures of Sedona. pictures don't do it justice. While you're in Sedona, you want to maybe take a pink Jeep tour and visit some of the places that you wouldn't get to off the regular roads. Another thing you'll want to do, there's the whole vortex and hippie stuff going on. Mystical. You might learn about that. 2 places I want to tell you if you want to take pictures of Sedona, because you always want to take pictures because it is so beautiful. 1, drive up to the airport, and almost when you get to the airport, stop there. You'll see some of the best vistas for taking pictures, and it's easy to get to. Another one is follow that same road that you're on when you come down from the airport, turn right, and go, when you see the high school, take the next right, the next left, take that to the end of the street and park, and there's a trail there. Go down that trail less than a quarter of a mile, and you'll also see some of the best views for picture taking of Sedona.
Yeah, it was beautiful. When we were there, it was in the winter time, and we went at dusk, and looking down at the town below, it almost looked like Gilmore Girls-ish, like a Hallmark. Yeah, it was beautiful. So definitely worth the drive up there for picture taking. And then if you continue further down Highway 89A, you'll hit the Cottonwood Clarkdale area. And I love there's a train there called the Verde Canyon Railway. And we had so much fun going on that train. It was probably about a good 4 hours round trip. And they have open air cars. So you can either sit in your nice comfy seats inside in air conditioning, or you can go outside to the open air cars and hang out there. And they gave us a cheese and cracker and fruit plate. It definitely worth the trip. And also in the Cottonwood area, there's wineries, especially down, I want to say the name of the town is Page Springs. And there's lots of wineries there. And it just makes for a really fun afternoon. You get a wine flight and do a little wine tasting and maybe have some cheese and crackers. So,
also, while you're on that train, one of the last things you're going to see when you come back in, it goes by this maybe horseshoe portion of the river. Remember that, because that's one of the best places where you can fish and kayak. So you go down to Tuzigoot National Park, and then you drive to that little curvature in the middle of that, and you park your 4-wheel drive at the top. And you can put your kayak in on one side, ride it around to the other side and get out, or wade and fish. But beautiful, great fishing, great place to hang out for a day. Another hidden gem.
Yeah. Oh, and I almost forgot, another hidden gem in Cottonwood is the Blazin' M Ranch. And we were there for New Year's Eve. They put on a great party for New Year's Eve, but when it's not a holiday, they have a typical Western dinner and show. So definitely check out the Blazin' M Ranch.
So Cottonwood, Clarkdale, that whole area is lots of cute antiquing stores, great restaurants, a good bar scene, a lot of bikers hang out there. Then you're going to go up the hill to Jerome. Now, there's 2 ways to get to Jerome. Everybody goes the one way, which is the right way. One time we were coming out of Prescott, and I said, I think I recognize that mountain there as the backside of Jerome. So we took a road through some farmland and up to the back of, they called it the Devil's Cauldron.
I think so. It was the scariest ride of my entire life.
I don't recommend it, but it's definitely beautiful but it is a little bit scary, and the road's not meant to be driven.
No, it's all dirt, and it's barely passable if 2 cars come, and no guardrails, and it's all off the side of a mountain. So if you're the adventurous type, go for it. If you're like me, no, take the other way into Jerome.
And in Jerome is another one of those cute towns. We had one of our first dates in Jerome.
Oh yeah, we did. And funny story, we were sitting outside at a restaurant, and I hear this like gravelly voice in my ear, and I look at Joe, and he's like looking the other way, and I'm like, what the heck was that? Like, Jerome's supposed to be very, very haunted. Was this something that I heard? And like, we're just freshly dating. Do I mention anything to him? Like, I have this conflict going on in my head what to do. But I did end up mentioning to Joe, like, did you just say something to me? And he's like, no, I was looking over there. And so I told him what happened, and he didn't think I was weird or anything. I think he said that, well, if anywhere, it would happen here. So
there is a lot of paranormal activity in Jerome. If you ever watch any of the ghost hunter shows or any of that, they almost always visit, all those shows visit Jerome. There's a hotel there that's now a hotel. At one point it was a hospital. At one point it was an asylum. And there was a fire there. And yeah, there's lots of haunted stories. We've actually, one time we were there, and we were walking up to the hotel, and we heard these people talking about doing a haunted tour. So we just jumped in the tour with them. And they walked through different rooms that haven't been refurbished. There's some people setting up some cute little shops there. But there was this one room, and there was a tricycle in there. And it was an old antique tricycle that was just sitting there, but it moved all by itself. And yeah, so it's kind of, I don't think it was mechanical. I'm a believer, but you could not believe it if you want to or don't want to. But the Jerome area is well known for that. And if you're in tune, you will feel spirits, and they're not always the most pleasant spirits, but sometimes they are. That's Jerome.
And I have to go back to the Asylum restaurant. If you ever go there, get the butternut squash soup and thank me later.
Tracy, that's one of my favorite things about her, is we go to restaurants like this. She'll eat something she likes, and then a week later I'm eating it at home, because she loves to recreate masterpieces she finds at restaurants. And that's one that I think she even found a recipe for it online.
They have it on their website. So yeah, you can go to the Asylum Restaurant's website and get the recipe for that soup. So yeah, and then continuing down, the next little cute town is Prescott. It's spelled Prescott. It's pronounced Prescott, but it's a really cute town. They have a nice square with the courthouse in the center, with shops and restaurants all around the square.
Most of those restaurants are bars. It's called Whiskey Row.
Yes, yes, Whiskey Row.
So the trick is you start at one bar, have a shot, go to the next bar, have another shot.
Yeah. But there's a bakery that we love there called Grandmother's Bakery. You have to kind of go downstairs to get to it. It's right under, I want to say, the St. Michael's Hotel. Definitely stop at Grandmother's Bakery. And then we also love the Murphy's Steakhouse there. So
yeah, when you visit Prescott, it's always reinventing itself. I mean, 20 years ago, there was a big fire that took out half of Whiskey Row. There's cute shops. They're always changing. A lot of the times, like for 4th of July, the rodeo's huge, or they'll have other street fairs and art festivals. Definitely worth the trip from the Valley up for a day trip to visit Prescott. Let's see what else we're talking about Prescott.
Lots of antique stores. So it's definitely a great place to go to get out of the heat.
Yes, and out of the heat, up the river, up the road from Prescott, you can go up to Goldwater Lake. That's another cute little tiny lake for kayaking and fishing and hiking. And then, yeah, there's lots of other stuff on that little hill also. That's why I went to scout camp a lot.
Yeah, there's a Watson Lake, Lynx Lake, so great place to go for kayaking and fishing. And they do a lot of youth camps up there also. So then on the way back down to the valley, make sure you stop at Black Canyon City and Rock City Pies. We always end up stopping there for a piece of pie or maybe for dinner on the way back home.
Yeah. Before you get to, so you're coming up on it after you pass Sunset Point, a great place. It's at the top of the hill, the top of the mountain. So you have valleys all around you. And it's a great place to watch the sunset if you can time it. Some days are better than others, but sometimes they are just spectacular. And now they've started having some food trucks there, which is kind of a recent innovation. Maybe if you go there on a weekend evening, you'll catch a good food truck. Some of the best food trucks fight for that spot. So if you get a food truck, it won't be garbage. Tucson is a day trip from Phoenix. I have a lot of family who lives in Tucson, so often we'll stay with them and make that our hub for other day trips on a weekend or something like that. From Tucson, one of the main things you see is Mount Lemmon. It's a big mountain right there in the Catalinas. And if you go up Mount Lemmon, there's Kitt Peak Observatory, which is one of the best telescopes in the country. Then near Kitt Peak, there's a town called Summer Haven. If you visit it in the summer, there's probably on the weekends going to be an art festival or something going on. And if you visit in the winter, it's a ski town, good restaurants year round. There's cabins to be rented. So it's a good place to take off for a weekend trip to get out of the heat. Another one of our day trips out of Tucson is Madera Canyon. This is one of my favorites now because my mother likes it. And she's 90 years old, and getting her to eat is sometimes a challenge, but never when we go here, because we'll stop at San Isidro del Bac, which is one of the old Spanish missions, and we'll pick up some Indian fry bread. If you don't know what Indian fry bread is, best way I can describe it is a deep fried tortilla with chili and cheese, or beans and cheese, or powdered sugar and honey on top. They make it different ways, but we'll pick one of those up and she'll eat that while we drive up the road to the top of Madera Canyon, which really takes you to the top of a small mountain. And as you drive up, I love to watch the vegetation change from going from low desert to high desert to pine. And you will see wildlife as you drive up this little road, whether it be deer or wild turkeys or squirrels and birds. Definitely lots of birds. Birds. There's a hummingbird sanctuary as you get near the top, past the bed and breakfasts, and definitely worth a stop there. I saw more hummingbirds at this little sanctuary than we saw at the hummingbird sanctuary in Costa Rica in the rainforest. Just a great place to stop and visit. And then at the top of the hill, there's plenty of parking and picnic tables where you can just eat your lunch and visit. For those who are a little more adventurous, there's great hiking trails that go all the way up the mountain. Short hikes, so definitely you could do 1, 2, even 3-hour hikes from there, but they bring you back down to the same parking lot, so that's nice to visit. So Madera Canyon, one of our favorite hidden gems in Arizona. Sabino Canyon is also in the Catalina Mountains near Tucson, and this has got those winding, meandering streams, great photo opportunities, some great hikes. Great to visit both in summer and in the winter. I like it more in the summer because they don't do snow, but yeah. We also talked about that national park early in the video, the National Park Pass earlier in the video. There are many missions in southern Arizona and throughout the state, but you can visit those with your National Park Pass and get a little taste of American and Arizona history. These forts were, when the West was being won, where the people would congregate if there was uprisings or violent activity in the area. So there's a lot of history here, and definitely something to learn and visit. We appreciate more what we have today because of what people have gone through to provide us these comforts that we have now. It wasn't an easy break of the West, but this will help you to appreciate it more. And then also in southern Arizona, one of our favorite places is Patagonia Lake. This is almost to Mexico, and it is that's not small, but compared to other lakes in Arizona, it's kind of a small lake. A lot of people take their speedboats there, their jet skis, their kayaks. There's a campground there that's for kayaks only. So basically you take your kayaks and you pedal across and stay on a little island, and it's kind of nice. Don't go to Patagonia Lake on a Sunday. It is crowded beyond imagine. It's everybody in their family coming from all around hangs out there. It's beautiful. It's wonderful to see, but it's very busy on a Sunday.
Crowded, yes.
So Sundays, avoid Patagonia Lake if you can. But if you can only get there on a Sunday, it definitely makes you appreciate family because you see so many families enjoying each other. And then, like I say, that's almost to Mexico. The next thing down the road is, well, kind of off the road a little bit, but Nogales. It's changed a lot. I mean, when I was younger, we used to go down to Nogales. You didn't even need ID to cross the border. Well, you maybe, but they didn't give you a hard time about anything. Now it's still a great place for medical tourism. I know people who've had teeth extracted, elective surgeries. There are medications that you can get over the counter in Mexico that are prescription only here, or people with chronic pain will you'll pay for a consult for a doctor, and maybe only pay the doctor $10 because you give them a high-level description of your problem, and you write you a prescription, and then you can go get filled at the pharmacy for what are some of the back pains. And yeah, we won't talk about that, but yes, medical tourism is a big thing in Nogales and other border towns.
And I have to say, I know a lot of people don't feel safe going into Mexico, but I didn't have any issues at all. I felt really safe walking in, and we had our daughter with us too, so I wouldn't worry about that.
Good food, lots of good
margaritas.
Yeah, the drinking age is only 18 in Mexico, so I think we did take our daughter there for her first legal drink when she was just 18.
Yeah,
and but it's a border town, so if you've never been to one, it's a nicer border town. So if you're in the area, that's worth a stop.
Yeah. And then also south and east of Tucson, you're going to get to Wilcox, which has a really cute apple orchard. It's called Apple Annie's. And so it's a great place to go and pick apples or pears or whatever happens to be in season then. And they also have a separate location that has a really good farmer's market. And if you hit the timing right, they have this beautiful sunflower field where you just get lost in the sunflowers, and makes for great pictures also. And then continuing on, you'll hit Bisbee, which is a cute little hippie town, lots of shops and quaint restaurants, and it's also reported to be haunted. In fact, we have our own little story about Bisbee, but I'll save that for when we talk about our weekend trips, because it was on one of our weekend trips. So I'll save that story for later. But there's also the Copper Queen Mine Tour down in Bisbee. And then also in that area is Tombstone, which is the western town. And they have the recreations of the shootout at the OK Corral, and some, of course, restaurants and shops, but that's a fun place to go to for Western history. And then also in that same area, there's a really cute campground called the Shady Dell, and it has lots of vintage RVs that you could rent and stay in. So it's really definitely worth checking out. So super close to the valley, but it feels different than Phoenix, is the Superior Globe Miami area. And I love that it's just so close, but then if you're into antiquing like we are, there's just some great antique shops and Mexican restaurants. One of our favorites is the Casa Reynoso. So yeah, and it's also a beautiful drive. You go through a beautiful covered bridge, and it's just really a great way to get out of the heat, but still stay close to Phoenix. And then when you're coming back, you can come home the long way and go home through Florence, which is another charming, quaint little town. They have a really nice Ace Hardware store that has some really unique things in it. And I don't know if it's still open, but there is a prison in Florence, and they used to have a store where the prisoners would make handcrafted items, which was really cute. So if that store's still open, it's something that you definitely need to check out.
Yeah, prisons. Arizona makes money by housing prisoners from other states. For example, Alaska. The cost of employees there is so high that it's cheaper for them to pay Arizona prisons to house those prisoners, Hawaii and some other places. But some of these people come with some real native skills, whether it be their carving skills. So they make things out of what they have available, but it's just cute stuff.
Yeah.
A little leather work and some other stuff you can get from there. And then, well, we're still close to the valley. Halfway between Phoenix and Tucson is this place called Picacho. And if you live in Arizona, you recognize that Picacho Peak as a landmark, telling you you're either close to Phoenix or close to Tucson. The little piece of history, the only skirmish of the Civil War that was fought in Arizona was in the valley near Picacho Peak. And right outside of Picacho Peak, there's a place called Rooster Cogburn's Ranch. Rooster Cogburn is a character from a John Wayne movie, but it's a ranch and petting zoo. So kind of great place to take your kids to go pet ostriches and rabbits and goats. And
they have lorikeets, the birds that you have the nectar in a cup, and they'll come and they'll actually take the lid off the cup and then land on your hand and drink the nectar. They had some stingrays. So yeah, it's definitely worth, even for adults, I would definitely.
Yeah, it's fun. And they also have some other things you can do there, like 4-wheel drive school buses. So they take you on an off-road track in a school bus. So a lot of people can do that at once. It's cute. Definitely something worth a quick day trip if you've got kids, because the petting zoo is not like others. And a cute gift shop that has all those Arizona artifacts that you might want to get, whether it be a bow and arrow, slingshot, feather duster from the ostriches.
I was going to say, if you go down there, you definitely want to get a feather duster, because that is the best way to dust your house is with ostrich feathers. So, and other cute areas that are really close by, actually still in the East Valley, is downtown Gilbert. It's really built up lately, lots of entertainment areas, lots of restaurants. One of our favorites, well, there's a lot, but I definitely like Joe's Barbecue. To give that one a try. And there's some other chain type restaurants like Culinary Dropout, Oregano's, but it's really cute. And they have different things going on down there by the water tower, little festivals. They have a great farmer's market.
The Live Theater.
Yes, Hale Theater, which is really fun for live theater. And since we're in that area, we might as well continue on to Queen Creek, which has the Queen Creek Olive Mill. So you can go down there and get your olive oils and your balsamic vinegars. You can have lunch down there. It's definitely worth the side trip. And then if you're going all the way down there, make sure you stop into the pork shop where you can get your fresh pork meat, sausage sticks, bratwursts. They had pork tamales that you loved. So it's definitely worth a trip down there.
And then we've covered pretty much most of the state. We didn't talk much about the western part of the state. So another quick day trip would be to Parker, Arizona, which is on the almost to the Arizona-California border. It's on the Colorado River there. And I like Parker because there's some cute restaurants and bars. There's a really good pontoon dealership. So we're thinking that when we move, we're going to need a tri-tune pontoon. So you get to physically see some good boats in Arizona at reasonable prices. There's also a cute little bar there. I wish I could remember the name of it, but there was they food trucks outside. So the food trucks are really good, but the bar is really quaint, and the small town atmosphere of Parker is really cute to enjoy. And that's right on the river, so everybody's got their boats, and you can wear your flip-flops and your shorts into the restaurants. And then just up the river from Parker is Lake Havasu City, the home of the Golden Gate Bridge. And London Bridge. Sorry, I the Golden Gate. London Bridge. And one of my favorite things there is there's a bar there where you get a flight of whiskeys, like the Johnny Walkers, all the different flavors of Johnny Walkers, and flights of tequilas. So you can actually taste as the quality goes up, how smooth the drinks are. And then maybe your samples get a little smaller as they get to the higher and higher ends. But it's a good way to experience the quality between the regular stuff, the single barrel, the blue, the black. It's good stuff. So London Bridge was brought to Arizona as a tourist trap, but also a way to market the land there, because nobody was living that far away from the valley. So they brought something there. You build it, they'll come. Well, they brought the London Bridge over, and people go visit that. And then while they're there, hey, let me show you these houses you can have. And it is one of the few places in Arizona where you can actually have a house on the water. So there are people who have boat houses and docks right after their back door, which is something when it's not day tripping, but definitely was one of the things we considered for an Arizona water base. So out of all these trips, which one's your favorite?
I think my favorite, even though I love them all, but I have to say Prescott, because there's just so much to do up there as far as shopping and restaurants, and it's just so nice to get out of the valley in the summertime when it's so hot.
Yeah, I think mine probably would be Madera Canyon, mostly because it's my mom's favorite, and at this point in time, I like spending quality time with her. She's almost 90, so she's a character and a half, and she seems to feel very comfortable in that environment. So she talks a little more than usual, and it's fun to get those pieces of her history out of her.
Yeah.
So we've talked about a lot of the day trips within Arizona, and there's so many things to do. This is just a few of them, and many of these could be weekend trips. We'll talk more about some of the things that you can do in Arizona in our next video that take more than a day trip, because it's a beautiful state and there is a lot to do. And then we'll talk later about some of the things we're looking forward to in Alabama that are similar but different. But we're going to become Alabama aficionados in no time, because we are falling in love with the land that will be ours.
Yeah, so we're curious, have you guys visited any of the places that we've mentioned? So if so, we would love to hear your comments. Comment down below with your favorite Arizona day trip.
Oh, and as we promised, an update on the house. The footings have been poured, and they're working on the foundation now. So you can see the picture here of our lot with actual construction progress has happened. So that's a huge step forward.
Yeah.
Looking forward to talking with you more as we continue our journey into retirement. And thank you for joining us in Retirement in Color. I'm Joe.
I'm Tracy. We'll see you in the next video. Bye.